Today, well, our focus is entirely on a very specific headline-grabbing financial announcement from the DWP.
That's right. We're talking about an extra £420 per month.
Exactly. Earmarked for eligible pensioner couples. And it's set to begin in April 2025.
It's a substantial figure, definitely catches the eye.
It really does, and it warrants a close look. So our mission today is to conduct a pretty thorough analysis looking at the source material around this expansion of pension credit. We really need to understand, what exactly is it? Who actually qualifies for this new money? And I suppose the reasoning behind why the government is implementing this particular policy right now.
And I think it's really essential to set the context immediately for you, our listener, because pension credit, often just called PC, well, it's sometimes misunderstood.
Right. People mix it up with the state pension sometimes.
Exactly. While it's managed by the DWP, like lots of other support payments, it's quite distinct from the universal state pension. And crucially, it's separate from working age benefits like universal credit, too.
Oh, yeah.
PC is specifically an income-related, means-tested benefit. It's designed, essentially, to establish a minimum income floor.
So it tops up income.
Precisely. It tops up the resources of older people who are living on perhaps low state pensions or who have only limited savings. It just ensures they meet a basic standard of living. It only targets pensioners.
Okay, so let's unpack this new payment then. This £420 monthly boost, which, wow, that's equivalent to a pretty significant £5,040 per year.
Yeah, quite a jump.
And the sources confirm this expansion kicks off in April 2025 for the couples who are eligible.
And the key detail here, I think, lies in where this increase is being applied within the pension credit system.
Right, because it has different parts.
It does. Pension credit has two main arms, if you like. There's savings credit, which offers a small sort of reward for those who've managed to save modestly for retirement. Okay? And then there's guarantee credit, which is really the primary component. The guarantee credit acts as a proper safety net. It tops up your weekly income if it falls below a certain minimum amount set by the government.
And this new money.
This new financial expansion focuses entirely on increasing that guarantee credit level, specifically for couples.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, Ann, by focusing it purely on the guarantee credit, the DWP is basically ensuring this increase directly benefits the poorest eligible households.
That's exactly.
Those who need that income floor raise the most.
Precisely. And, we really can't discuss this without addressing the context the sources all point to. The ongoing and, frankly, severe cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
That looms large over everything.
It does. Rising inflation has, it's disproportionately hammered households relying on fixed incomes. Food bills, energy prices, even basic services have just made it incredibly difficult for many older couples to manage.
Especially just on their existing state pension and perhaps the previous PC amounts.
And the data points to a real need for some kind of intervention here. The source material we looked at notes that more than 1.7 million pensioners are already relying on pension credit.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
So this isn't just theory. This is about immediate, hopefully tangible relief for those people.
And to make that number feel a bit more real, consider the illustrative example provided in the source material. Let's say a low-income pensioner couple might currently be receiving maybe a combined £1,000 per month.
Okay, from their pensions and existing PC.
Right. With this expansion coming into force, that monthly income would jump up to approximately £1,420.
Wow, that's a big difference.
It really is. That increase translates directly into, maybe the ability to properly heat a home or afford more nutritious food, things like that.
That's a potentially substantial shift in quality of life for those households, definitely. Which moves us naturally onto the question of eligibility. Who exactly is targeted by this policy beyond just, being a couple?
Yeah, we need to be crystal clear on the criteria here. To qualify for pension credit in the first place, which then makes you eligible for this specific boost, you generally have to satisfy three main requirements.
Okay, what are they?
First, both you and your partner must be over the state pension age. That's key.
Right, both of you.
Both.
Yeah.
Second, you must live permanently in the UK. And third, this is the crucial one, your joint weekly income must fall below the defined minimum threshold, the means test part.
So it remains very focused, laser focused really, on genuinely low-income couples who have maybe Modest savings.
Absolutely. If you have significant private pensions or, large portfolios of investments, the means test is likely going to exclude you.
Okay.
But what's quite fascinating here, and what the sources seem to reveal about the policy intent behind this, is that this increase also appears designed to rectify, perhaps, a known structural flaw.
Oh, what kind of saw?
Well, for years, critics have highlighted an inherent challenge, or maybe an imbalance, in how pension credit supports couples compared to single pensioners.
Ah, I think I remember hearing about that debate. The logic previously seemed to assume that, well, the living costs for two people were somehow less than simply double the costs for a single person, right? Because you share resources, like a roof or heating.
That was the underlying assumption, yes.
But is that assumption maybe fundamentally flawed, especially in today's economy?
Well, it appears so, or at least that's the argument. The previous calculation often failed to properly acknowledge the sort of escalating marginal cost of essentials.
Okay.
So while a couple might share one boiler, as you say, they still need, well, roughly double the volume of food, probably double the clothing budget. And their total energy usage, even if it's slightly discounted per person perhaps, is still high.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the sources we looked at note that this new 420 pounds, is explicitly designed to try and address this imbalance, to provide what they're calling more realistic support for couples who are facing these escalating joint household expenses.
It was like an attempt to recalibrate the whole equation after maybe years of under-provision for this specific group.
That seems to be the thinking. It looks less like just a general cost of living measure and more like a targeted correction for a particularly vulnerable cohort.
Right, fixing a specific structural problem, as you say.
Exactly. Policy architecture doing a specific job.
Okay, now here is where, for me, the true value proposition of pension credit really comes into play. It's not just about the new monthly top-up, is it?
No, absolutely not.
The thing that people most commonly overlook, I think, is that qualifying for pension credit acts as a kind of gateway to a whole host of other really valuable benefits.
This is often the aha moment for many people listening, I find, because the total financial reward, when you add it all up, can far exceed the 420 pounds per month itself. It unlocks substantial added value.
Right. Let's try and break down that hidden value then. The sources seem to categorize these additional supports into, like 3 major buckets of savings?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
So first, there's healthcare and living expenses. This includes, essential help with NHS dental treatment, prescriptions, and optical care, stuff that really mounts up, especially for older people.
Definitely. Those costs can be significant. The second category covers housing and council fees. And by far the most substantial item here is usually access to council tax reductions.
Ah, that can be huge.
It really can. You can save a person hundreds, sometimes even thousands of pounds every year, depending on their local authority's scheme.
Okay, and the third bucket?
The third bucket focuses on utilities and quality of life. This includes that crucial support for heating, like the warm home discount and cold weather payments, which are just vital during the winter months.
Absolutely essential.
And another one people often forget, for couples over 75, qualifying for PC also grants the free TV license. Still a significant annual saving for many.
Right. So if we connect all those potential savings back to the initial financial increase we talked about, that 420-pound monthly boost actually generates potentially substantial further indirect savings through these gateway benefits.
Exactly. The total value proposition of claiming pension credit even before this new expansion was announced was already estimated to be worth an average of about £3,500 per year.
Wow. Per household.
Per eligible household that claims it, yes. So with this new money added on top, the total benefit package becomes, well, potentially life-changing for those on the lowest incomes. Okay, given how significant those combined benefits clearly are, this raises a really crucial and actually quite frustrating question. Why on earth are so many people missing out? Ah, yes. This is the major challenge this policy and pension credit in general faces: the uptake problem.
The numbers are staggering, aren't they? The estimates suggest around 850,000 eligible households are currently missing out on this support.
It's a huge number. Just think, 850,000 households not getting help they're entitled to.
So if the total value is so high, especially when you include those gateway benefits, why isn't there more effort perhaps on solving the uptake problem before adding more money? Why is that number so stubbornly high?
Well, it's a multifaceted issue, really, and it seems rooted in history. One reason often cited is complexity. The application process, while apparently simpler now than it used to be, historically created confusion, particularly around, say, calculating savings limits.
Okay, complexity.
What else? Another major barrier, unfortunately, is stigma. Some pensioners feel a reluctance to claim benefits, perhaps viewing it as charity rather than an entitlement they've earned.
That's a tough one to overcome.
It is. And critically, perhaps, there seems to have been a persistent lack of really aggressive, targeted awareness campaigns. Campaigns that actually reach people who maybe aren't online or aren't actively searching for government aid.
Yeah, reaching the people who need it most but aren't looking for it.
Exactly. The good news, though, is that organizations like Age UK have widely welcomed the 2025 expansion. They've specifically stated that this additional support could lift tens of thousands of couples directly out of poverty.
But that relies entirely on them actually claiming the benefit in the first place.
Indeed it does. Which brings us nicely onto the practical logistics. If you're listening and you are part of a couple and you believe you might qualify for this substantial support, how do you actually go about applying?
Right, the how-to.
Well, the process remains pretty structured. You can apply relatively easily via the gov.uk website that's often the quickest way now.
Okay, online.
Or you can use the Pension Credit Claim phone line. Or, of course, there's still the traditional method of applying by post.
And for couples specifically, what information must they make sure they have ready before they start that process? Is it more complicated? It just requires details for both partners. So you must include comprehensive details for both people, all income sources, any pensions you both have, and details of any savings. Because it is means tested, the DWP needs that complete and accurate picture of the joint household resources to work out the eligibility.
Okay, makes sense. Now, a really key distinction for our listeners, I think. What if you're a couple who is already receiving pension credit? Do you need to reapply or do anything? No, absolutely not. This is crucial. If you are already getting pension credit, you do not need to take any action regarding this new allocation. The DWP has confirmed the £420 monthly boost will be applied automatically starting from April 2025.
Ah, that's good news. So you'll just see the increased amount in your payment statement, presumably.
That's exactly right. However, if you are not currently claiming pension credit but think you might be eligible,
Yes. Then the advice from the source material is very clear. Prepare now. Don't wait until April 2025. So check your eligibility today.
yes, check your eligibility now. Gather together those documents, income details, pension statements, savings information. Applying well before April 2025 ensures that if you are successful, you'll receive this new, higher allocation right from the very first payment cycle when the expansion starts.
Okay, that's really practical advice. Get organized now. Now, while the expansion is, broadly welcomed as a positive step, it's important we acknowledge the critical views impartially as they were documented in our sources.
Absolutely. Balanced perspective is key.
If we connect this to the bigger financial picture, some voices are raising, valid concerns about the policy's overall scope, aren't they?
Yes, there are criticisms. The three main ones seem to center on fairness and perhaps future financial stability.
Okay, what's the first one?
Firstly, critics argue that while couples are receiving this quite targeted increase, support perhaps should also be increased for single pensioners. They also face intense pressure from the cost of living crisis, obviously.
Right. Fairness between groups. Secondly, there's the kind of macroeconomic worry. If inflation continues its steep climb, will this significant rise, will it quickly be eroded? Will it fail to fully restore pensioner spending power in the longer term? That's always a risk with fixed increases when costs are volatile. Indeed. And finally, the recurring theme we keep coming back to, complexity and uptake. Ah, yes, the claiming process.
There remains a pretty broad consensus, it seems, that the DWP needs to simplify the claim process even further and also actively tackle those barriers we discussed, things like stigma and awareness, to finally maximize the uptake and reach those, 850,000 households currently missing out.
So a targeted success, perhaps,
Right.
but one that's implemented against the backdrop of these ongoing challenges.
That sums it up pretty well, I think.
So wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you, the listener? Well, the DWP Pension Credit expansion in 2025 isn't just another minor tweak to benefits. It looks like one of the most substantial support increases specifically targeting pensioner couples in recent memory.
It definitely seems significant. A targeted correction, as we said, aimed at easing financial pressure and hopefully reducing poverty levels caused by this relentless cost of living crisis. And if you take away just one actionable step from this deep dive today, it has to be this. Check your eligibility now, or encourage someone you know to check theirs. Absolutely. The potential financial benefit when you combine the value of the new monthly allocation plus those really significant gateway benefits, it's simply too large to ignore if you might qualify.
Definitely. So, given that hundreds of thousands of eligible households are currently missing out on these significant financial and indirect benefits, and this new support acts as a gateway to even more savings, our provocative thought for you to chew on is this.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond merely increasing the financial payment, what non-monetary, maybe structural changes, perhaps driven by technology or maybe community outreach, what do you think would be most effective at encouraging eligible pensioners to finally claim what they are legally entitled to?